Ahead on WUFT's First at 5, tropical moisture and heavy rain across the state of Florida. The UF weather team is tracking just how much rain our area will see. And a major change in the case of the woman charged with killing an Ocala mother, why the victim's family say they have to wait a while longer for their date in court. Plus, speeding up results for the West End Golf Course in Gainesville, the major event that could push scheduled upgrades to completion faster. First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Tropical moisture has arrived across much of the state of Florida and is leading to heavy rain and thunderstorms that will continue into the weekend. Over the next 7 days, the National Hurricane Center says this area of storms could develop into the first tropical system of the year. Parts of South Florida are already starting to feel the impacts of the rain. This is a live look at the gloomy skies and rain in Hollywood Beach. While the disturbance has a low chance of development, it's expected to bring some heavy rain. Flooding will also be an issue with much of the state slated to get several inches of rain the next few days. I'm Noelimary Suarez, and this is First at 5. Let's get right over to UF forecaster Kara Rydberg timing out when the rain is set to impact north central Florida.
That's right, rain happening right to our south if we look over the villages, affecting a little bit by the heavy rain and thunderous conditions possible. Now, this is actually due to the warm moisture coming up from the Gulf, hitting the Florida coast and experiencing these rainfall that we have been being affected by. Now, looking at actual 72-hour rain chances, we see right around the west coast experiencing a lot of the rain, nearly 2 inches in Sarasota, and then even up on the Space Coast experiencing 4.2 inches of rain. Now, these systems have actually caused a potential for this to develop into a tropical system. The National Hurricane Center has put out a possible prediction for this to develop into a tropical system. Now, this chance is low, nearly 20%, but if it were to develop, it would be right off the coast of North and South Carolina.
The trial for the woman charged with shooting and killing an Ocala mother has been pushed back. Jury selection in the trial against Susan Lawrence was scheduled for next week, but at a recent hearing, the judge pushed it back to mid-August. Lawrence is accused of killing Ajika Owens last summer following an argument over Owens' children. Police say she shot her through the locked door of her home. Lawrence is facing manslaughter charges in Owens' death. The Alachua County Board of Commissioners met this afternoon to discuss the future of the West End Golf Course. 2 weeks ago, the fate of the golf course was sealed and sold to the Viking Company. The board plans to use its 75 acres for the World's Masters Athletic Indoor Championship. WUFT's Bianca Smith reports on whether the course will be ready in time.
The company responsible for the championship, Rad Sports, allowed its senior vice president to make some comments at the general council meeting to address the board's concerns. According to the contract, the championship is going to take place in Gainesville no matter what. The budget for the event is still up in the air. Alachua County commissioners have concerns about the short timeline to complete the West End Golf Course project. It's been a subject of contention for years. The World's Masters Athletic Indoor Championship is supposed to take place right here. However, county commissioners say that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There are buildings that they need to demolish. They need to clear up the grass that's actually coming up to my waist. And there are a lot of remains from the golf course still here. So they invited Rad Sports, the company responsible for the World's Master Athletic Indoor Championship, to come and explain the progress with the project. Senior VP Stefan Rodriguez says they are working diligently to meet that one-year timeline.
I see it as a tremendous opportunity because any improvements that are done out there for the World Masters Athletics Indoor Championships, those improvements are things that can be utilized in the future.
In the meeting, Rodriguez said there will be a cross-country course and an outdoor throwing area. The board says the goal is to be able to use the space for multiple different kinds of events. Commissioner Anna Prizia says before anything happens, she wants to show the building plans to the community for input prior to breaking ground. In addition, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis must look at the proposal before any budgets can be set. The next update for the golf course is expected to be sometime in August or September. Within the next few weeks, there will be some no trespassing signs that are going to be put up to protect the neighbors from walking into an active construction zone. Reporting in the studio, Bianca Smith, WUFT News.
And firefighters are working into learning what sparked a car fire at an Ocala Collision Center overnight. Crews were called the Jenkins Collision Center on Southwest 12th Street just after 3 this morning. They learned several vehicles caught fire, which prompted a larger response. A total of 3 vehicles were damaged and 4 sustained damage from heat exposure. No one was hurt. The Florida Highway Patrol is investigating a deadly crash also in Ocala. The FHP report says the crash happened just before 8 last night on State Road 40 near Northeast 14th Street. Troopers say the 63-year-old man was driving on 40 and veered into the shoulder, hitting 3 parked cars before hitting a building and then striking a tree. Part of the building, which is a veterinary clinic, caught fire. The driver was pronounced dead when crews arrived. In Lake City, a man is behind bars accused of breaking into moving trucks. Police arrested 40-year-old Brett Roach last night. A police report says the victim stopped at the Circle K on Centurion Court. He says he saw Roach open up the back of his U-Haul when he confronted him. He says the suspect pulled out a gun. He went back to the store and called 911, and police say they caught the suspect after a brief chase. After victim reports seeing Roach enter their Penske moving truck. Later this year, Florida voters will get a chance to say whether they want to preserve forever fishing and hunting, among other items. Last year, the state legislature approved placing proposed constitutional amendments on the November ballot. The proposal says it will preserve the 2 action items as a public right and preferred means of responsibly managing and controlling fish and wildlife. A political committee backing the proposed constitutional amendment raised more than $450,000 from April 1st through May 31st, according to a recent filed finance report.
Maybe these things in the future are attacked or dwindled away. So I think that what we were trying to do with this is go ahead and put it in the Constitution that there will always be the right to hunt and fish.
Like all proposed constitutional amendments, Amendment 2 would need support from more than 60% of Florida voters in the November general election to pass. Leaders in the city of Alachua are looking for help with local education policies. They are now accepting applications for their education task force. The task force was formed last year to recommend policies, procedures, and suggestions for improving the quality of childhood education. The recommendations will be presented to the City Commission. Applications can be found on the City of Alachua's website and will be received until July 1st. You must live within the city limits to be eligible. And Ocala Cultural Arts are now accepting applications for next season's First Friday Art Walks. Artists, art organizations, businesses, and other sponsors are welcome to register. The deadline to participate is August 1st. The Art Walk season runs from September until May, and you can sign up on the City of Ocala's website. Coming up on Next at First for the child of a sitting president, what's ahead for Hunter Biden after his historic gun possession conviction. Plus, South Florida bracing for large amounts of rain that could put neighborhoods underwater for days. The drastic steps one neighbor says he has to take to protect his home.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
The surviving son of President Joe Biden is now a convicted felon. A jury found Hunter Biden guilty on 3 counts of charges tied to purchasing a gun back in 2018. For the first time in American history, the child of a sitting president has been convicted of a federal crime. As Bree Jackson reports, the president has said he won't use his powers to pardon his son.
Hunter Biden, President Biden's only surviving son, found guilty on all 3 charges tied to the possession of a gun while using narcotics. Special counsel David Weiss, appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland, brought the charges.
No one in this country is above the law. Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant.
During the trial, prosecutors argued Hunter knowingly lied on a federal form, checking a box claiming he was not an active drug user when he purchased a gun.
It was these choices and the combination of guns and drugs that made his conduct dangerous.
Hunter Biden has admitted he's struggled with addiction, but claimed he was not doing drugs at the time. After his conviction, he released this statement saying, "I am disappointed by the outcome. Recovery is possible by the grace of God." First Lady Jill Biden has been by her son's side for most of the trial. In a statement, President Biden said, "I will always be there for Hunter. Nothing will ever change that." Republicans reacting. The chairman of the House Oversight Committee posting online, "Today's verdict is a step toward accountability." The verdict comes with political implications for President Biden as he fights for re-election. His opponent, former President Trump, faces several legal challenges of his own and was already found guilty of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Floridians who have car insurance with Liberty Mutual may be getting a state-ordered refund due to being overcharged. According to state regulators, the insurance company has to issue $4.7 million in refunds. They also must pay an additional $500,000 in interest. According to the order by state CFO Jimmy Patronis, the refunds and interest must be repaid by June 15th. Neighbors in South Florida are bracing for the flooding that will come with the large amounts of rain heading their way starting today. Leaders in the town of Lantana are bracing for the potential of a month's worth of rain to fall in just a matter of days. The UF weather team says the storms are fueled by tropical moisture from the Caribbean. As of today, more than 6 million Floridians are now under a flood watch. Neighbors say even a brief shower can flood the town.
It's getting close to the point where our house, we're going to have to raise the house, which is a massive cost, and at a certain point, we're just going to have to give up the property.
The bulk of the heaviest rain will start tonight through Thursday, and the watches are set to expire tomorrow but may be extended as heavy rain could persist through Friday.
Heavy rain has been falling across much of Florida, and we will be getting in on the wet weather. I will have the details next.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Live look at Century Tower right behind me. Pretty dark, even darker clouds to our south. Right now the winds are coming out of the south at 7 miles per hour and the temperature is currently 94. Now storms happening to our south, mostly just bringing lots of rain and a couple thunderstorms. Looking at our temperatures right now, the rain is actually lowering the temperature to the south, 79 in the Villages, while up here, North Florida, low 90s, upper 80s. Looking at what's to come for the next hours, 7 p.m. 86 degrees with the chance of rain right around 30%. As we go through the night, we see both the temperature and the chance of rain going down. Now, looking at tomorrow at 8 a.m., we can expect a warm start, 76 degrees, a few showers, 12 p.m., 88 degrees, and we can expect a couple showers at 4 p.m. at 91 degrees. Now, storm tracker right around north central Florida. Chiefland is the only thing really experiencing a lot of rain right now, but should we zoom out just a little bit more, we can see where the real rain is happening, again, just south of north central Florida, showing the storms and heavy rains. Now, these storms are actually a part of a bigger system fueled by the warm, moist air coming in from the Gulf. Now, these storms from the past 72 hours have actually provided a ton of rain. We can see nearly 2 inches in Sarasota, and even on the Space Coast, some areas experiencing nearly 4.6 inches of rain. Now, this is excellent because due to the severe drought that's experiencing, this drought conditions are even after the 72 hours of rainfall that we have been experiencing. Looking at our storm track for tonight, we can see right around 7 p.m. we can expect a little bit of storms going through the night, clearing up right around 11 p.m. Now, as we go into the morning, we can see just a little bit of clear skies, a little bit of rain showing up around 2 p.m. But as we go into the night, we can really see the storms that we are getting affected by. Now these storms are actually showing the potential of developing into something a little bit more serious. The National Hurricane Center has put out a low risk of these storms developing over the next 7 days into a tropical system. Looking at our seven-day outlook, we can see overall warmer temperatures as we get into the week with a high chance of rain throughout it.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Daniel Haviv. The College Baseball World Series is now officially set after NC State punched their ticket last night. The 8 teams are split into 2 different brackets. In the first one, North Carolina and Virginia will face off for the first game on Friday at 2. In their only meeting this season, Virginia won 2 of the 3 games. The other game on this side of the bracket features the number 1 overall seeded Tennessee Volunteers clashing with Florida State. It'll be their first meeting since 2007. That game is set for 7 p.m. on Friday. And in bracket 2, Kentucky and NC State will go at it this Saturday at 2. This will be the 6th time they match up in their program's history. And for Saturday's 7 p.m. game, Texas A&M will take on Florida. The Gators won their series against the Aggies early on in the season. D1 Baseball's Joe Healy spoke on just how dominant the SEC and ACC have been in the postseason.
Yeah, first time to have just 2 conferences represented, first time for these 2 conferences to be represented. Obviously, that underscores the strength of those 2 conferences compared to the rest of the country, but also, you know, it's just kind of a quirky thing where it just so happened that we had no SEC on SEC super regionals, so that they couldn't knock each other out. Like, some of it's just a quirky little thing that happened in the bracket.
The SEC released the anticipated kickoff times for the remaining games on Gator football's 2024 schedule. The Gators will have 3 noon games this season. One is at home against Ole Miss and 2 on the road at Mississippi State and Texas. For the 3:30 primetime slate, they'll have Miami and Texas A&M at home and Georgia in Jacksonville. And for that night slot, Samford and UCF will come to the Swamp. LSU, Kentucky, and Tennessee are all flexed to be played anywhere between 3:30 and 8. The FSU game has not yet received a kickoff time. The 124th U.S. Open Golf Championship is set to begin on Thursday from Pinehurst, North Carolina. A current and former Gator will be in the field. Gators men's golf sophomore Parker Bell will compete as his first U.S. Open. In his sophomore year at Florida, Bell played in 13 out of 14 total tournaments and was in the lineup 11 times. He finished tied for 8th at the West Lafayette Regional. He also tied for 23rd at the SEC Championship. Bell will tee off on Thursday morning bright and early at 6:56 a.m. And former Gator Billy Horschel is competing on Thursday. Horschel will make his 12th U.S. Open start thanks to being amongst the top 5 players in the 2024 FedEx Cup standings. He owns 8 PGA Tour victories, with the latest coming in the 2024 Corrales Punta Cana Championship in the Dominican Republic. Billy will tee off Thursday at 1:58 p.m.
Go Gators! And let's take one last look at the weather.
A little bit cloudy throughout the week. We can see chances of rain all through till Monday, with temperatures in the low to mid 90s throughout the week.
And thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5. But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and on all of our social media platforms. Have a good night.